YouTube. What's going on? Okay, so I got a PM from a older black woman, and she just talked about her frustrations. She was venting, and it's cool. Sometimes I do get longer PMs, and people are just really venting, and and she pretty much talked about her, just her dating experience, and mind you, she's in her late 30s, and she just talked about the frustration, and she talked about how she didn't always make the best decisions, but it was really annoying because a lot of the friends that she made in college, right, who also were making poor choices, they ended up being happy in regards to the men and the women. So she's pretty much saying that, the men got to have their fun, but at the end of the day, they were still able to find something that was legit, whereas her and a lot of other women were not. And I have to say is this, what always gets me is this belief that black men, we have it easier, we get successful, and, we have women at our disposal. Now, here's the problem, okay? It's not about quantity, it's about quality. A lot of black women get caught up in this whole idea of quantity because there's so many of them that means somehow that it's just supposed to work. No, it doesn't mean it's quality. See, the problem is black women, like I said before, haven't developed a rubric. The productive black women have not said these are the things that you need to be productive, whereas the men, we have. It's just more so the black community not accepting it, or the women not accepting it. You talk to a decent black dude and he'll tell you the requirements to be a productive black man. Like I said before, the women don't want to honor it. Okay? And they don't, and then on the flip side, black women don't really even have, in my opinion, some sort of rubric to what you have to be called productive. Right? So because there's none, you have a whole bunch of women who are who aren't necessarily doing what they have to do, calling the shots. Okay? So it's a lot of women defining what it means to be a solid black woman, as opposed to the women who actually have the ability to do so, them not saying this is what, we need to have. So because of that, black men have to put up with a lot of bullshit. Willie P made the analogy, and other people made the analogy about the football field. Okay, at one end zone, you have the productive black women. On the other end zone, you have the productive black men, and you have to go through 100 yards of bullshit just to get to the end. I would say that it's much more harder for the men to get to the other side than the women. Why? Because women can cut people off because there's a rubric for men. Okay, in terms of what he does for a living, what he's able to do. So there's a clear definition of what it means to be productive in terms of being a black dude. So their issue primarily is just coming into contact with these men. How do I get to these men? I'm not too worried about BS men, because if I say no, it's not a big issue. Right? No one's going to fault a black woman who has her shit together for not trying to get with a dude who doesn't have his shit together, because we've already defined what it means to have your shit together for a man. Okay? But on a black dude end, we have multiple problems. First of all, like I said before, the biggest problem, or the biggest tragedy in this whole black community thing and dating, is that the productive black men are not meeting the productive black women. That's what we want initially. Okay? So that's hard enough by itself. Let's just assume that everything was peaches and roses, right? We would still have problems, like I said before, because our population, our numbers are still too small, all right? And we don't have the social networks that other groups have. Like I said before, you look at a lot of Indian people, they don't have the numbers as well. But what they do is they say, hey, let's form social networks where, if I have a cousin who's single and I know a friend from college, I'm going to set them up and, invite them over to my apartment. We're going to have dinner, and they're going to meet each other, and they're going to laugh, share stories, and they're probably going to hit it off. We don't have that. So we are pretty much dispersed across professional America, or blue-collar America, whatever you call it, that working America, okay? We're dispersed, and we have no means of really congregating. So that's a problem all by itself. Okay, I can dedicate a channel just to talking about that. But then, like I said before, because we have no standard for what it means to be a productive black woman, we get all the other bullshit. You know, people always talk about, well, the street dude and the suburb black men, we just need to cut ties. And at this point, you know, I don't think we should, but like I said before, people feel strongly. So, yeah, I guess it's true that I guess we just need to cut ties because, you know, you're fighting an argument that's pretty much reached a stalemate. You know, no side is willing to budge. But we'll always be connected because of the women. Like I said before, the same women that go after the street guys then try to turn around and go after the productive dudes. And what they do is bring their bullshit with them. See what I'm talking about? And because there's no standard of productive black women, these women feel entitled. Okay, there's plenty of women out here, multiple kids, no sort of job, some sort of criminal background, no education, multiple kids, I don't know if I already said that, who all of a sudden find church and find God, and all of a sudden they're part of the eligible black women, or, you know, pool of eligible black women. And it's the truth. For a lot of brothers, there's no point in going out because every last single black woman thinks that she's a productive black woman. So you have to filter through the bullshit. I mean, you don't want to be rude to tell somebody, oh, you have kids, I don't want to deal with you. What do you do for a living? I'm not trying to deal with you. So it's just like, you know, I better not. It's best if I just not necessarily do certain things because that's what you're going to get. There's no point. For a lot of black men, there is no point to going out or trying to mix with black women because, like I said before, there is a mixture of women who are not productive but who think they are. Even with some of the homegirls I know that went to school, I look at their friends and I'm like, this is why I can't kick with you. This is why we can't set something up where I say, hey, you know, I'll go to your spot or you come to my spot. You know, you bring your friends, I'll bring my friends, because I know she's going to bring bullshit. In terms of my end, I'll bring you decent brothers who have their shit together. But in terms of them, it will be her and maybe somebody else. And the rest of the girls, kids everywhere, no degree, but they all think they're productive. Why? Because they can recite scriptures, right? They can recite Philippians. I don't know what it is, you know. So they're, you know, they're Bible toters. So all of a sudden, they're productive black women. So you have to deal with all that shit. And like I said before, they're coming at you with some, oh, you guys hurt me, but in reality, it's the street dudes that they have a problem with. So even then, you don't even get the whole idea of, you know what, I made my mistakes before, but this is what I'm looking for now. You don't even get that. You get the whole, well, black men are doing this and black men are doing that. But mind you, they know who to talk to. You know, black women aren't bitching at the street guys who they may have had a bad relationship with. They talk to the dudes who know that that's not the case. So they'll talk to the dude about what happened in their past, knowing that that wasn't the dude that had the kids, that wasn't the dude that beat her up, or the dude that had no job. So instead of just coming at somebody straight up, they come at us sideways. So you have all that shit going on, and that just gets annoying. Like I said before, you have to factor that in, then also factor in the whole idea of the productive black woman, right, and about how we don't have the social network. So you have two problems already that we have to deal with. Like I said before, there's no rubric, so we just can't cut black women off. Every last single black woman thinks that she's productive, so she doesn't have to step up. You can tell black men to step up because there's a rubric. But if you think about it, can we really tell black women to step up? No. How can we since there's no rubric? Step up to what? And that's an issue. And then the last issue is a minor issue. I touched on the whole idea of just because non-black women are into black men doesn't mean they're quality. I said that a long time ago. You know, when a lot of black men on YouTube were hyping up this whole interracial dating thing, I said, yeah, it happens, but I also pointed out how there's a lot of BS. So I talked about how you already have women who pretty much get kicked out of their culture who now want black men. Okay, women who have children who are biracial, women who may be heavyset, women who may be oversexed, and yeah, there's not a lot of them, but because we're a small population, it doesn't matter. So you're dealing with that shit as well. You know, Sergeant Willie P just talked about, how the white girl acts as if she's into black men for X, Y, and Z, but it's because she's overweight or she's heavyset or whatever, so she's trying to bullshit. So you're dealing with that. So pretty much you're dealing with a lot of non-black women who feed off of the fact that black women don't have a rubric for what quality is, what productive is. So we're dealing with all that. So in terms of frustration, I think there's this misconception that black women have it harder. And I would say, yeah, you guys have it hard, but at the end of the day, you have a rubric. Okay? For black men, there is no rubric. Okay? So you have all sorts of women who think they're quality when it comes to black men. So now look what we have to filter through. You have a filter. So half the problem is having a filter. We don't even have a filter. We don't. So even, let's just say we worked something out, so we did have social networks where people were meeting each other, it would be filled with women who think they're quality. Whereas with black men, it wouldn't be. Of course, there would be a shortage. Why? Because there's a rubric. Okay? If we wanted to crush all this whole ideas of there not being enough eligible black men, well, let's change the rubric up. But no one wants to do that. But for black women, we lowered the bar, and now we're dealing with those issues. So now the women who truly have it together have made it harder for themselves. All for what? The sake of unity? I don't know. You guys tell me. So anyways, let me know how you feel. Take it easy. God bless.